Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Prachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prachana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajachana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasuranandana Vrajachana Ranjana Yasuranandana Vrajachana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajakachacha Ashtotarita Shishimat Abhay Charanarvindam Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Kori Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Iskcon Bibhiti Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Shrimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Shrimati Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagna Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Samveda Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, Chapter 3, text number 204. Sachichira anna bare dheki putra mukha bhojan karana purna koila nija sukha. We'll just read through these, okay? As Mother Sachi constantly saw the face of her son and fed him, her own happiness increased and was indeed complete. E mate dvaita griha bhakta gane mila vanchila kataka din maha kutuhala. In this way, at Advaitacharya's house, all the devotees met and passed some days together in a greatly festival mood. Ar din Prabhu kahe sab bhakta gane nij nij grihe sabhe koraha gamane. The next day, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested all the devotees to return to their respective homes. Gare giya karo sabe Krishna sankirtan purnamapi hamar sanghe hoiba milan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also asked them to execute the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord at their homes, and he assured them that they would be able to meet him again. Kabuva tomar karibe niladrigaman kabuva asiva ami korite ghangasnan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told them, sometimes you will come to Jagannath Puri, and sometimes I will bathe in the Ganges. Nityananda Gosai Pandit Jagananda Damodar Pandit Ardata Mungkunda Echari Janacharya Dhila Prabhu Snan Sane Janani Prabhu Kordi Vandila Charane. Sri Advaitacharya sent 4 persons, Nityananda Gosai, Jagannanda Pandit, Damodar Pandit, and Mukunda Dutt, to accompany the Lord. After pacifying his mother, Srila Sachimata, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu submitted prayers to her lotus feet. Tandre Pradakshin Kordi Lagaman Eta Acharya Garde Otila Krandan. When everything was arranged, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu circumambulated his mother and started for Jagannath Puri. In the house of Advaitacharya, there arose tumultuous crying. Nirapekshahan Prabhu Sigra Chalila Kandita Kandita Acharya Praschat Chalila. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was unaffected. He left swiftly, and Advaitacharya followed him weeping. Purport. As Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains, the word nirapeksha means not being affected by anything material and remaining fixed in the service of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not very much care for the roaring tumult and cry at the house of Advaitacharya, which he heard when starting for Jagannath Puri. Worldly moralists may criticize Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for being very cruel, but the Lord did not care for such criticism. As the world teacher of this Krishna consciousness movement, he actually showed that a person seriously engaged in Krishna consciousness should not be affected by worldly affection. The best course is to engage in rendering service to the Lord and become callous to material actors. Externally, everyone is attached to material things, but if one becomes entangled in such things, he cannot make progress in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness should not care for the so-called morality of the material world if that morality opposes the service of the Lord. As Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has personally shown, one cannot properly execute Krishna consciousness without being neutral. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Garim Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Manavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. So, this Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate study of Krishna consciousness. And I feel this purport is a good example of that. Prabhupada is very explaining this so that we can gain insights into how to execute Krishna consciousness properly, which is not always an easy thing to do. Many times, things that would seem to be are actually not as they are. Here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu definitely had great affection for the devotees in Navadvip, especially his mother, Sachimata. And we can see how much respect he gave. He circumambulated his mother, and then he walked off. The devotees are so attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that they began to cry and wail, realizing they wouldn't have his association. And Prabhupada mentions that, materialistic morality would, one might say, oh, how cruel. And certainly if we have that kind of attachment for the Supreme Lord, we may even think like that. But to understand properly, we all have in this material world some attachments. It's natural that parents are attached to their children, children are attached to their parents. But Prabhupada said here in this purport that one has to become callous to those attachments if those attachments are interfering with our progress in Krishna consciousness. Not that the attachments are not there. Those are natural things. Family members, you have some attachment, right? But at the same time, you understand what is the important thing. If, due to our attachments, we do not, it interferes with our Krishna consciousness, then that attachment is detrimental. We shouldn't allow that attachment to outweigh or to overcome our progress in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said here, the best course is to engage in rendering service to the Lord and to become callous to material objectives. So everyone has some material objective, but those are not our main business. I mean, for the householder, they're thinking to accumulate money and to use that money for household requirements or family requirements. And there's nothing wrong with that. If in a family they have daughters, then they have to marry their daughters, isn't it? It's a responsibility. But that's not their only responsibility. That's one responsibility. And it's material, right? But there's another responsibility, and that responsibility is to understand that this life that we have in this material body is only temporary. I'm born in a particular family, in a particular country, right? But that's not permanent. Right? If you're born in India, everybody was watching yesterday, Pakistan and India cricket match. Whole plane was watching. And when somebody hit a six, everybody in the plane was, oh. But when the plane took off, then they had to turn off the cell phones and then quiet. No more Pakistan and India. But if you're born in America, right, you want to know who won the World Series, the Yankees or the Phillies. Yeah? So according to time, place, and circumstance, the living entity gets situated in somewhere, somehow. And for the living entity, it seems very important, very crucial. India should defeat Pakistan. The New York Yankees should win the World Series. Right? But these things are going to change. They're not going to last. You know, in this life I'm born in India, or I'm born in America. Next life I could be born in Lower Slobovia, wherever that is. Right? So we can't let these material circumstances overcome our real business. Our real business is to, like it says, don't become a mother, don't become a father, don't become a devata, don't become a guru, unless the persons under you, those who are dependent on you, you can deliver them from the cycle of birth and death. That's our real business, to become free from this samsara, birth, death, old age, and disease. You know, sometimes in the heavenly planets, sometimes a worm and stool. Prabhupada says if you pull the worm out of stool, the worm will crawl back into the stool. And so this is the process of Krishna consciousness, is to elevate the living entity to the living entity's original consciousness. Original conscious means only conscious of the Krishna and the relationship with Krishna. This is our original consciousness. This is what everyone is actually searching for, is that relationship with Krishna. Everything is based on relationships. And Krishna consciousness means to reawaken our lost relationship with Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shows here by his example that we may be in any situation, affectionate family members, but we should not let that sway us from the real objective of this human form of life. It's not all in all. We don't deny it, but we say that the real business is to become Krishna conscious. So, so how to do that? And here Prabhupada says the best course is to engage in rendering service to the Lord. Of course, that service begins with the tongue. We can liberate ourselves simply by properly using the tongue. Prabhupada mentions the tongue has two businesses, one to vibrate and one to taste. And tasting means eating Krishna prasadam. That's the easy part, right? Anybody here doesn't like Krishna prasadam? Everybody's attracted. And the other thing that the tongue does is to vibrate. So, controlling the tongue to take prasadam, no problem. Controlling the tongue to continuously chant, Hare Krishna, Hare more difficult. Lord Krishna described the process of yoga to Arjuna in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And after describing that process of meditational yoga, Arjuna said, this seems very difficult to control the mind. As difficult as it is to control the wind. Sometimes the wind blows so hard. But what's our ability to stop that? No one can stop it. And Lord Krishna replies that yes, indeed, it's difficult to control the mind. But one can do it by constant practice and detachment. So that constant practices means to continuously chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And the detachment is to follow the regulative principles. If we do these two things, then gradually we'll become callous. Someone who has callous feet, what does it mean? Callous. It means their feet are tough. Many people are on Braj Mandal Prikrama, right? And many are barefoot walking. Now, if you're from the village, you have practice walking without shoes, right? In the village. How many here are from a village? Wow, good majority. So गांव में बिना चप्पल चलते हैं, लेकिन city में बिना चप्पल नहीं चलते हैं. So when you're walking in the village, no shoes, you don't notice stones, this, that. You're used to it, right? You don't have a problem with that. So because your feet are callous, they're right, toughened up, right? So in the same way, when we become callous to material affections, material sense gratification, that's what Prabhupada's recommending here. Material attachments will be there, right? And it's natural. But for the devotee of the Lord, they are concerned with the mission of the Lord. And they don't allow attachments to interfere with their progress in Krishna consciousness or helping other people progress in Krishna consciousness. This is one of the reasons Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, to set the example for us. Right? He had a loving mother and a young wife. Still he took sannyas to to show us para-upakar, that we're meant to do benefit for others. Family is there, mother, father, wife, children, and that those material responsibilities should be taken care of. At the same time, we don't allow those material responsibilities to be all in all. Because we have a higher mission. We know the purpose of the human form of life. We've heard from Srila Prabhupada what we should do with this life for our own benefit and for the benefit of others. For our own benefit, we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. And for the others, we request them to chant. Right? We request them to take prasadam. We request them to take a book. So those activities help us in our progress in Krishna consciousness, and those activities obviously help others too. When Srila Prabhupada said, if someone gets a book and they give a donation for the book, then their material life is mortally wounded. Mortally wounded. You can get a superficial wound, you can get shot in the arm, or you can get shot in the leg, but mostly you won't die. But if you get shot in the heart, finished. Mortally wounded. That's what it means, mortally wounded. You're going to die. So, in the same way, people have their material life, so many material attachments, but if they come in contact with Srila Prabhupada by getting his books and giving a donation for the book, then one day their material life will be over. It'll be finished. It may take some time, but it will end. They'll come to be doing the same things that we are doing. Chanting, dancing, taking prasadam, worshipping the deity, worshipping Tulsi, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. They'll come to that. But it may take some time, but Krishna will take charge of that. He'll make the arrangement, just as we all know how we came to Krishna consciousness. For each and every person, it's a unique thing. It's a unique thing, how everyone came to Krishna consciousness. Because everyone has a unique relationship with Krishna. It's not homogeneous. Everyone has a different relationship with Krishna. And Krishna is known as Rasaraj, right? He has a rasa with every living entity, and it's all different. Just like snowflakes. Of course, it doesn't snow in Delhi, but maybe in Himachal it snows. So, what is snow? Snow is drops of water that have been crystallized. It's a crystal. If you look under a microscope, that drop of water frozen, it has a pattern to it. And every pattern, every snowflake is different. There's not one single or two snowflakes that are the same. All the patterns are different. In the same way, everyone's relationship with Krishna is different. And Krishna wants to experience that unique relationship that he has with you. He wants to experience that because he's Rasaraj. He's Rasamrita. He enjoys the different rasas, but he's missing that one he has with you. Why? Because we're ignoring him. We're busy. You go to anyone and say, you please chant. And this and I have no time. No time. No time for Krishna. They have time for everything else under the sun. Newspaper, WhatsApp messages, Facebook messages. Some people are very carried away with, unless they have their photograph, and they can't digest their food. I did this, I did that. Who cares? Everybody goes to the bathroom, but do we care? Well, you went to, so what? I did this, I did that. Who cares? Caught up in so many different things, so many different things. But chant, Hare Babare Mere Samay nahi hai. Kali Yuga ka prabhav. So how to help them? It's like it's like giving a medicine to the horse. One man has to hold the mouth open, another man has to put the capsule in the horse's mouth. They're so adamant not to take the Krishna consciousness. So in order to be effective in helping others, we have to become a little bit callous to the materialistic affections. We do our duty, but we know our main duty, the prime duty, to go back home and to take people with us, back home, back to Godhead. Because no one is happy here in this material world until they develop that relationship that they have with Krishna. It's there, but it's lying dormant. It's diverted to so many other things. That has to be reawakened. And then people can actually be happy. In this material world, they try so many things for happiness. They imagine, this will make me happy, that will make me happy. But in the end, no one is happy, nobody's satisfied. We have to have faith in that. We have to understand that. If we don't, then we can't be effective as preachers. You can't go to a big man's house to preach Krishna consciousness and at the same time thinking, oh, this guy's got a really nice house here, yeah. What is that? We become affected. We lose the goal. We're here for one thing, develop our Krishna consciousness and help other people develop their Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop there. Are there any questions? Yes.
Thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful life. So like you said that when we go to person, so to start the conversation we have to say something which, we cannot start Krishna, philosophy or anything directly. We have to start somewhere. So if we say like this, to start something converse, it's wrong, no?
No, that's strategy.
Yes.
That's strategy. And it's a technique of preaching. Prabhupada says.
Yes.
You have a wonderful house, you're a very big man, you're so learned. Build them up. But please consider one thing. you don't know anything. Right? That's a strategy. So we can use all kinds of strategies to bring them to Krishna consciousness. But the goal is there, bring them to Krishna consciousness.
Thank you.
I shouldn't be thinking that, I'll flatter this guy and he'll give some donation. And, Jitamrita Prabhu will announce my name in front of the deities. Haribo, Haribo. That's not the goal. That may happen. But the goal is to help this person. If you have the mood, I want to help this person. He actually is a blind person walking off the cliff. And I'm trying to alert him. Right? And maybe we have to develop many different techniques to help this person. But his benefit. But who am I to tell you? You're a great preacher, I know. You've made many life members and many people Krishna conscious. And plus he helps their material body too. Without a material body, how will we do devotional service? Right? Maintaining the material body is required so that we can do devotional service. Prabhupada told Dhananjaya Prabhu, first thing is take care of your health. Second, do your japa. Third, your service. But we ulta ho gaya. First is service, then we do some japa, and then if there's time left, we take care of our health. But if you don't have proper health, how you'll do devotional service? Right? It takes some energy. Even to speak properly takes some energy. So take care of your health. Don't neglect it. So that long term, we're into the long run, the long term, to serve Krishna. Any other questions? Yeah.
Thank you, Maheshwari, for such a practical exposition of this verse. My question is, how does one retain the balance between callousness towards material attachments and sensitivity towards our dealings?
Well, I think that the key here, and it's very, this is postgraduate study of Krishna consciousness, so it takes some deep thought to understand it. But here Prabhupada says, and this is kind of an interesting word here in the last sentence, I'll read it again. As Lord Chaitanya has personally shown, one cannot properly execute Krishna consciousness without being neutral. So I think that's your question. How do we have that neutrality? And we can discuss this. I'm open to hear from you all what that neutrality means. When we hear in the class, materialists are bad, but we have to be neutral. Right? So what does that neutrality mean? A Krishna conscious person, he showed by his own example that a Krishna conscious person is neutral. Mohan Rupa Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, I fully agree with you.
Huh?
I fully agree with you.
No, but what does it mean? You tell us.
I shall try. Neutral means one has to be Krishna conscious and one must act according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra.
What's that?
One must act on the basis of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, not whimsically. I think that's the meaning of to be neutral.
Anyone else have their take on this?
With your permission, I'd like to contribute, although it's my question. Well, I was just thinking that one aspect of neutrality would be to be open to feedback, because oftentimes we are not very clear as to whether we are acting in a neutral paradigm. So it makes it easier for us to remain open to feedback that would keep us neutral and objective, therefore. often when we judge a particular situation, it turns out to be subjective. But if you're open to feedback, then it would make us neutral.
If you're not open to feedback, you're doomed. Just like every leader who was ever doomed, whoever failed, was because they turned off the feedback. And you have to take that feedback from wherever it comes. If you think that just because, whatever it is, you're on a higher position, and therefore, just because you're there, you should know everything, then you're finished. And who said that? Narayan Das Murthy, the owner of, or the starter of the Infosys. He said this is a big problem in corporations. They get to a certain stage, and from the people underneath them, they don't take feedback, and they become finished. Look at Srila Prabhupada. I'll tell you a story. Brahmananda told me this story. He said it was in America, 26 Second Avenue. Everybody was new, and Prabhupada had a heart attack. And he had Bhakta Chuck, who later on became Achyutananda, massage his heart all night. And in the morning, Prabhupada said, call a doctor. So it was Memorial Day weekend, everything was closed, like Diwali, everything closed, Memorial Day. So they had a very difficult time to find a doctor, and then finally somebody's family doctor came over to 26 Second Avenue, and he examined Prabhupada. And Prabhupada stayed in this room, and the doctor went out in the hallway and talked to Brahmananda. So he was saying, what do you think? The Brahmananda asked him, what do you think? And he said, the old man, he prays too much. Tell him to go out and take a walk. So Brahmananda thought, oh my God, this guy's a quack. And he went back inside, and so he asked Brahmananda, so? Oh, don't worry about him, Prabhupada. He's just And then Prabhupada said, no. He said one very important thing, to walk. And from that day, Prabhupada started to take his morning walks every day. You got to be open to feedback. And Prabhupada said later on, I extended my life because of morning walks, regular diet, and some Ayurvedic medicines. I extended my life. So taking feedback is a very important thing. A devotee is always open to, ready to improve and ready to take, what do they say, a wife from a low family, a good wife from a low family, gold from a filthy place, and instruction even from a fool. Right? The person may not be anything, but still Paramatma's in his heart. And if that's coming to you, we should consider it. But I think that's another part from this neutrality. It means you're not this way and you're not that way. Right? In the material world, there's always the dualities of good, bad, happiness, distress, victory, defeat. Right? So one who's neutral sees all these things with the same mentality. And it could be a very big crisis in a material sense. But because the devotee is fixed up in the goal of serving Krishna and thinking of Krishna, so he becomes neutral to it. But I'm sure there's many different aspects of this last sentence that Srila Prabhupada gives that will come to mind and we should consider.
So one last thought, if you permit, is that it came as I was listening to you that maybe it could. We hear from all of you that it is important that when we are preaching that we should try to provide them association from Guru Sadhu and Shastra rather than take their association. So that would help us stay neutral. Otherwise, you give the example of you go to a big donor's place and you get enamored by the opulence of the house. So it would make sense, therefore, that we stay alert in terms of not receiving their association and focus on just providing what we can in terms of Krishna consciousness to them. That would help us stay neutral.
Yeah, they have their agenda. And the devotee has Krishna's agenda. As long as we have Krishna's agenda as our agenda, then we'll be neutral. Prabhupada went once to a life member's house for a program and came out and told the devotees, I'm always praying to Krishna not to be affected by Maya. So, we should never think that we're on a platform that, Maya can't touch me, or, I'm such a great devotee, how can Maya affect me, then we're already gone. Any other questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, the things like the term you have. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you explained the word neutral. When I was reading Jad Bharat Maharaj's story, then in different perspective, I understood the neutral state can be also obtained by 3 steps. That is tyag, if you can understand in Hindi. Tyag, then virakti, then uparati. So, are you explaining uparati? That tyag means to leave all the material desires, whatever is important to you, sense gratification. Then, because of that tyag, the virakti will generate into mind, because those sense gratifications are not required. So that means that will lead to the renunciation, and that after attaining the renunciation for certain times, then there will be uparati, means the neutrality state, whether the bhogs are there or not, there is no effect on the jivatma, like the state of Jad Bharat. Are you explaining that neutrality, or kind of material, like happiness and badness?
Well, we see in the life of Ambarish Maharaj, he was the emperor of the whole world. And he had so many responsibilities as the emperor of the world. But yet, still, he engaged his mind in always thinking of the lotus feet of Krishna. He engaged his legs in walking to the temple. He engaged his arms in cleaning the temple. Right? So even though he may have had so many material responsibilities, managing the whole, he was the emperor of the whole planet, it's not a small job. But yet, he was fixed in the most important thing, and that is to think of Krishna, to be Krishna conscious. So yeah, tyag is required, but understanding tyag also requires proper guidance. We may think that we're being, we're renouncing something, but we may be doing that falsely, false renunciation. To actually understand how to renounce, first of all, we have to understand how everything is in relationship to Krishna. There's false renunciation. The Mayavadis, impersonalists, they are renouncing the world falsely. They're thinking, I'm renouncing this world, but renouncing something means it should belong to you and then you can renounce it. You know, Prabhupada gives the example of the 100 rupee note that's on the ground. One person comes along and says, I renounce that 100 rupees. But it's not his 100 rupees anyway. So how he's renouncing it? Right? Another person comes along, sees 100 rupees and puts it in his pocket and said, Hare Babare, kuch lega, market say. Wo chor hai. Another person comes along, sees the 100 rupees and tries to find out who owns this 100 rupees. So renunciation has to be done properly, under the guidance of the devotees, Srila Prabhupada, and the spiritual masters. They can guide us what is proper renunciation. Yes, and if you have proper renunciation, if you have proper tyag, renunciation, you understand it properly, what it is, then yes, we'll be more neutral in our perception. And life is choices. Choices. It's like when you're going down the road. You can go right, you can go left, you can go straight, you can turn around and go back the other way. Life is like that. Number of choices. And depending upon our consciousness, where we're situated, we make decisions and how we deal with those choices. And depending upon what mode or material nature you're in, if you're in the mode of ignorance, you're going to make all type of Sudra choices. And if you're in mode of passion, you'll have different choices. Mode of goodness, you'll have different choices that you'll take. So it's conducive to be situated in the mode of goodness, so you'll make positive choices, and eventually we want to get situated in the mode of pure goodness, so that we make the ultimate right choice of surrendering to Krishna. Is that okay? Hare Krishna.
I will speak in Hindi.
Hare Krishna.
Somebody can translate for you into English. I will speak in Hindi. In Hindi. I will speak Hindi.
You want to speak in Hindi?
Yeah.
But
Somebody.
You know English very well.
No, it goes to some channel also. So you can follow Hindi?
I'll try.
Otherwise somebody can translate for you into English.
Just don't make it too complicated. And don't talk too fast.
ठीक है, तो जो प्रभुपाद ने शिक्षा दी चैतन्य महाप्रभु के चरित्र से, तो वो तात्पर्य प्रभुपाद जी का था, और प्रभु जी ने भी बहुत अच्छी तरह से इसको समझा कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने अपने आचरण से क्या शिक्षा दी, लेकिन उनके आचरण से दूसरी भी शिक्षा प्राप्त होती है। चैतन्य महाप्रभु बहुत अब सावधान हो गए कि वो वृंदावन जा रहे थे, तो वो गलती कर रहे थे। तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु कहते हैं कि ये प्यार संख्या 174 है कि मैं आप लोगों की आज्ञा लिए बिना वृंदावन जाना चाह रहा था, किंतु कुछ बाधा उत्पन्न हुई और मुझे लौटना पड़ा, तो मैं वृंदावन नहीं जा पाया आप लोगों की आज्ञा के बिना। तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु कहना है कि मैं भक्तों को छोड़ के वृंदावन जा रहा था, तो मैं नहीं जा पाया। तो हालांकि नित्यानंद प्रभु ने उनके साथ धोखा किया और ले आया शांतिपुर और भक्तों से मिलाया। तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु ये मान रहे हैं कि भक्तों की संगति को छोड़ करके मैं वृंदावन जा रहा था, तो बाधा हुई, मैं नहीं जा पाया। तो फिर कहते हैं कि मैंने अचानक संन्यास ग्रहण कर लिया, भक्तों की संगति को छोड़ के संन्यास भी ग्रहण कर लिया, ये भी अचानक ये मेरे से गलती हो गई। फिर भक्तों को छोड़ के वृंदावन जा रहा था, ये भी गलती हो गई। तो भगवान कहते हैं 175वें प्यार में कि मैंने अचानक संन्यास ग्रहण कर लिया, किंतु मैं जानता हूं तब भी मैं आप लोगों से कभी उदासीन नहीं होऊंगा। हे प्रिय मित्रों, जब तक मैं जीवित रहूंगा आप लोगों को कभी नहीं छोड़ूंगा, न अपनी माता को छोड़ सकूंगा। तो इस तरह से है। फिर अब भगवान कहते संन्यास तो मैंने ले लिया, अब जो है क्या है कि अब मेरे लिए बड़ी लज्जा की बात होगी कि मैं अपने कुटुंब के साथ रहूं, अपने जन्म स्थान में रहूं, तो मेरे लिए बड़ी लज्जा की बात होगी। तो कुछ ऐसी व्यवस्था करो, बीच का रास्ता, कुछ बीच का रास्ता बनाओ, 178वें प्यार, कुछ ऐसा प्रबंध करो जिससे मैं आप लोगों को ना छोड़ूं और संन्यास लेने के बाद जो है मेरे ऊपर लांछन भी ना लगे, मुझे कलंक भी ना लगे, आप लोगों को भी ना छोड़ूं और कलंक भी ना लगे। तो फिर महाप्रभु के वचन सुन करके सब भक्त सच्ची माता के पास गए कि अब भगवान चैतन्य कहाँ रहेंगे, क्या करेंगे और क्या नहीं करेंगे, तो निर्णय करेंगे सच्ची माता। तो सब भक्तों ने अपना निर्णय सच्ची माता के ऊपर छोड़ दिया। तो सच्ची माता अब विचार करती है, तो विचार करती है कि अगर मैं उसको आज्ञा दूंगी कि मेरे साथ रहे तो मेरे पुत्र को जो है कलंक लगेगा और समाज में निंदा होगी, तो वो मैं सहन नहीं कर सकती। तो सच्ची माता ने फिर ये निर्णय किया कि अब जो है मेरा जो निमाई पुत्र है ये जगन्नाथपुरी में रहे। तो जगन्नाथपुरी में रहे तो सब भक्तों की तरफ से सच्ची माता ने निर्णय किया कि जगन्नाथपुरी में जाना है। तो इस तरह से फिर भगवान जो है सब भक्तों से फिर क्या करते हैं, भिक्षा मांगते हैं। ये प्यार संख्या है ये प्यार संख्या है। जगन्नाथपुरी जाने का निश्चय किया तो भगवान कहते हैं कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु सबसे प्रार्थना की कि अपने घर लौट जाएं और कीर्तन करें और कृष्ण की पूजा करें और पवित्र लीलाओं की चर्चा करें। और इस प्रकार से भगवान ने अनुमति ली, सब भक्तों से अनुमति ली, है ना, आज्ञा देह नीला चले करिए गमन। तो भगवान कहते हैं अब आप लोग मुझे आज्ञा दीजिए कि सच्ची माता की आज्ञा हो गई, अब सब भक्तों से भी आज्ञा ले रहे हैं भगवान कि मैं जगन्नाथपुरी जाऊं। तो अब कोई मार्ग में कोई बाधा ना हो, मेरा अपराध ना हो। तो भगवान इसको अपराध मान रहे थे कि उन्होंने जो है भक्तों को छोड़ करके वृंदावन जाने का प्रयास किया और नहीं जा पाए, और अब आज्ञा मांग रहे हैं कि मैं अब जगन्नाथपुरी जाना चाहता हूँ, आज्ञा दीजिए। और आश्वासन दिया कि बार बार मिलते रहेंगे। तो इस प्रकार से भगवान जो है भक्तों से बिल्कुल भी अलग नहीं होना चाहते हैं और भक्तों से आज्ञा ले ली। अब भक्तों ने आज्ञा दे दी, अब भक्त लोग रो रहे हैं। तो भगवान के विरह में भक्त लोग रो रहे हैं, ये भक्तों का गुण है कि वे रो रहे हैं। और भगवान का ये गुण है कि अब जो है उस रास्ते में चल रहे हैं जो भक्तों ने निर्णय दे दिया। तो भक्तों से आज्ञा ले ली भगवान और अब जगन्नाथपुरी जा रहे हैं तो सुरक्षित समझ रहे हैं कि अब मेरा अपराध नहीं हो रहा है। भक्तों ने आज्ञा दे दी है, अब भक्त लोग रो रहे हैं तो भगवान के प्रति आसक्ति है उनकी, तो इसलिए रो रहे हैं। तो ये भक्तों का गुण है। और भगवान अब जा रहे हैं जगन्नाथपुरी, तो भगवान का गुण है कि भक्तों की आज्ञा लेकर के ही जा रहे हैं जगन्नाथपुरी। तो इस प्रकार से शिक्षा मिलती है कि भक्तों की आज्ञा में, भक्तों की अनुमति में, भक्तों की सहमति में हम जो है कोई कार्य करें जिससे कोई बाधा ना आए। उन्हें तो कई प्रकार की बाधाएं आएंगी, तो एक शिक्षा ये भी मिलती है।
And also when he went to Jagannath Puri, he met other devotees. And like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and he delivered Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who introduced him to Ramananda Roy. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued his Nitya Leela, his unlimited pastimes with so many unlimited devotees. So just as he cared so much for those devotees in Navadvip, he cared for the other devotees that he met in South India, and our goal is to become a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and to enter into his pastimes of delivering everyone in the material world. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Radha Rasmi Hare ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Huh? Didn't I say Shri Shri Radha? Oh. It's a fraudulent slip. Spontaneous. Shri Shri Radha Parthasarthi ki. When these deities were situated in Greater Kailash, they had to come to this place, and Gopal Krishna Maharaj requested me to carry them. So, I had Parthasarthi on my lap, and one other devotee had Radharani on his lap, and we brought them here in a, I don't even think they make that car, in a Contessa, you remember Contessa? We were in a Contessa, and we drove here and brought them here to this temple.
I remember you lifted the...
You were there then? Okay. Good.
He was very strong.
So how can I forget them?
Very strong, very bold.
Is there any difference between Radha Ras Bihari and Parthasarthi? No difference. No difference.